Cheryl, tell us what you do.
So I help women and men after the age of 40 to let go of weight, not only in their body, but their mind and their spirit as well, because you want to be more than just weighing less. So our daily habits and all the things that we say to ourselves make a difference for how
Nice.
we feel. And I want to set people up for their future. What do they want to do? What do they want to be able to do now that they want to be able to do it in 10 years?
Nice. Nice. With that in mind, one of the things that we are talking about, and this is what kind of drove today's conversation, is, yeah, and you said it to me, don't let Sunday wreck your Monday. What does that mean?
Well, we have a habit of looking at Sunday and going, tomorrow's Monday. I've got so much stuff to do. And so we are not present in our Sunday. We're enjoying it because we're stressing about what Monday has to bring. So we can make our Sundays more present
Mm-hmm.
and enjoyable and do those things that make us feel really great and kind of just take a check and look, okay, what has my week got in store? So you kind of are prepared, but in a less stressful way.
Nice. Nice. Honestly, anything that's less stressful, I am like all in. So I love that. So, do you have some specific tips or suggestions for helping? Well, actually, I'm going to pause. I'm going to ask a different question, then I'm going to ask for the tips. The question I want to ask is, what's the big impact of this? Why does this matter? Why should we do it? Why should we care?
Because have you ever got through part of your week and then thought, where did it go? Where
Mm-hmm.
was my mind?
Mm-hmm.
Did I even get anything done? Because I think when we worry on Sunday, we're worrying about the future. Every time we're worrying or we're stressing about something, it typically hasn't even happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're missing out on life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about this is one of the things I was thinking about this weekend is how many times have you driven home and not remembered the drive?
Yeah.
And you thought, how did I get here?
Yeah.
That's how your week is going to be if you're not setting yourself up. So,
Yeah.
what are those things that are going to make your week easier? If you're meal prepping, if
Mm-hmm.
you're getting your clothes ready, if you have
Yeah.
something special to do.
I'm going to stay in this big picture for a second because you've just brought a couple to mind, a couple things that I want to, because I don't just think about, oh, I'm going to have a better week, even though that absolutely is the point. You started to say, like, not remembering your ride home. We're doing things over and over, autopilot. Thank you, Marcus. We're talking about mindfulness and presence and being able to be present. But we're also talking about living every day and being present and getting the most out of every day. And as you know, sorry, I'm just going to go with this for a second, Cheryl. I lost my mom in November of last year, and one of the things that's been really present for me, it'll be at 6 months this coming week, and one of the things that's really been, mentally present is getting more out of life, and just from a mental presence standpoint, but also from an energy and a decision standpoint. Where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? What do I actually want? Because life lasts us this long. How does what you're talking about impact that?
That's exactly it. So, because I had a serious illness, because I have had people in my life that time is short,
Mm-hmm.
and we just don't almost realize if we look back at our life, there are holes. There are
Mm-hmm.
times that we were just doing
Yeah.
and we didn't stop. And yesterday was one of those days, it was just beautiful and warm finally. And I just sat down in the grass. I just thought, what did I do when I was a child,
Mm-hmm.
when I had nothing to do? I just looked up at the clouds and time didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think sometimes when we can look back at the way we used to live, can help us to be more present in this moment now. Because you're right, time is going by.
Hmm.
and we want to be here for it. We want to grab those moments of belly laughs.
Yeah.
You're with your friend and they say something really funny, and you
Yeah.
want to be there. And
Yeah.
we need to be there with those hard times too.
Yeah. And not just grab them, but create them, right? We have a
Yeah.
choice. We can make a choice to, I mean, I know everyone's got full lives, right? And they're going to and from work, and they do. We can talk about meal prep, but it's also about creating the moment where there is laughter, or especially as the weather's getting warmer here outside of, in Boston, we're starting to see slightly more warm weather. It's going to be in the 60s today, Fahrenheit. Marcus, so I'm like, I don't care that I got on my bike this morning and exercised. I'm going for a walk later because I can, because I want to choose that.
Exactly. And I think sometimes we think, oh, I need to work more and get these things done. But actually, when we take breaks and we give ourselves space,
Mm-hmm.
we get more done in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, we do because we've got more energy. I go project to project to project, and in between each project, I get up. I take a break. I get up. Okay, get everything set to go, so I know what I'm doing next. Walk away, and it might be 5 minutes. It might be 15. But that break, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And for me, I'm getting looking forward to summer and getting on my swing. That's my break. I run
Uh,
downstairs and go outside and jump on the swing.
I love that you have a swing. I think that's the best thing ever. I think that that's phenomenal. So awesome. Awesome. So, Cheryl, now that we've set the stage and I feel much, I personally feel more invigorated just by what we were talking about. How are you feeling?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some tips? What are some suggestions to help us set ourselves up for a week where we can feel successful, but also present in a joyful way?
Yeah. I think it really is thinking about the things that are ahead.
Mhm.
What can you do now to do?
Okay, I'm
Am I
not sure.
freezing?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's more your end or my end. Marcus can tell us if we're freezing. I'm hope if he's still there. Yeah, he might be still there. Um, but let's try it again. I think you're back. I don't know if it's my end or your end. It's been. I'm going right against our theme. It's been a Monday. Oh, go ahead. Try
Well,
that
but see,
again.
here's the thing. This is a perfect example. We're laughing through it.
Yeah.
We're we're not letting it ruin our day. We're going,
Hmm.
you know what? Stuff happens. So it's
Yeah.
really, for me, it's what other angle can we look at it? How
Yeah.
else can we see this? Do we have to see it as, oh my gosh, everything fell apart, it's not
Hmm.
working? Or
Hmm.
can we find the humor in it?
Exactly. Exactly. I think that that's it. Is not taking things quite so seriously. Yep, Cheryl froze. Stream is okay. Awesome. Thank you, Marcus. You were both hired. Oh my gosh. So yeah, holding things lightly, not taking things so seriously. I've always wondered, what does it mean to not take myself so seriously? And I think things like, oh, it froze, and laughing about it is part of that.
Yeah, I think we have habits of, like and it's really
Yeah.
like the stressful, quick things that happen. Then the brain goes into freeze mode, and it's like, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
Breathe,
Just
and
breathe.
know that those moments will pass. And
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that I say to myself is this feeling, this moment, this thing that's happening isn't going to last forever.
Hmm.
I'm just going to ride this wave
Yeah.
and I'm going to go on to the next thing,
Hmm.
maybe in a few minutes, maybe in a day.
Yeah, and recognizing that whatever we're experiencing, even if it's a massive low, is not forever. It's at this moment, right? And
Yep.
since I've already brought it up, when I lost my mom in October, there's been like a 6 month low, but there have been high points in there. It hasn't just all been terrible. There have been
No.
some beautiful high points in there along the way as well. And everything is about healing and experiencing life. And I think this is one of the points we're getting to, that having negative experiences, first of all, makes us a better person, but is also part of the overall human experience. instead of looking
Yeah.
at that as being bad. Thoughts?
I think we do. We label, we label a lot of things as, and nobody wants to feel sad, and no one wants
Yeah.
to feel, we don't like those feelings. But when we can sit with them and feel them or write
Hmm.
them out or express them in some way and honor ourselves that we're having a hard time,
Yeah.
we're going to get through it so much better and start to heal. But it's when and I'm guilty of this in my past for sure, that push up. I don't have time for that right now. I'm
Yeah.
just going to push that over here. And when I have time, I'll deal with that.
Hmm.
No.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because then you get the muscle ache or the pain.
Yeah.
I had a friend who would have backaches every time her in-laws were coming to town. And I said, do you realize that every time your in-laws are coming to town, you get this backache?
That's funny.
And she's like, oh,
That's funny. That's
yeah.
really
So
funny.
it's
Yeah.
recognizing those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. No, totally. And when things go bad, if it is a pattern, like, and some of it's health, right? I woke up this morning, I got on the bike, everything was fine, and then the next thing I knew a migraine was coming on. And my trick, the thing that I need to remember, and it's not always easy to remember this, is to get in front of it. So I've got a list of the things that I do when I start getting a migraine. Well, I was headed for the shower anyway, but spend some extra time in there, and let the water beat on my neck and stuff like that. Take meds before it gets bad, so that you don't give it time to wind up, because it's harder to beat pain when the pain's already there. You want to get in front of it. I added caffeine to my diet. It is helpful that I don't drink a lot of caffeine, so that when I do have caffeine, it makes a huge difference. That was unexpected when I quit caffeine, so I'm really excited about that. Things like that.
Yeah. That's it. It's really what you're doing is you've become aware. You know your patterns.
Hmm.
You know these things. You're like, when I do this, it goes wrong. When I do these things, I can manage it so much better.
Hmm. Yeah. So is that so? Cheryl, tell us some tips that are in line. I think we're talking around them, and I don't mean to run over you because you're the one with the tips. What ideas do you have? And you were putting some of them in the chat. What ideas do you have that we can all put into play to make it a better week?
Yeah, so I would say take your Sunday, make sure you're doing something that nourishes your body, that makes you feel wonderful. So doing those things that make you feel really good. I do a lot of things like put in my schedule, okay, what days will I be able to work out? What times? I put those in my schedule. Where are the breaks in my day? Don't
Hmm.
fill them all up.
Hmm. Hmm.
And making sure that you can have some food ready. So if you do get busy, you just have to grab it. You don't have to do anything.
Hmm.
And then setting yourself up for sleep. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, make sure you're getting your rest, because when you get your rest, you can handle about anything
Yeah.
so much better than you can without it.
Yeah. In fact, when we sleep, I've noticed this. I'd love to hear you speak to this. When I sleep, I eat better.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're not as likely to crave the sugar as much if you're getting rest.
Hmm.
If you're not getting rest, you're probably going, where are the carbs? I need them now.
Yeah, because you're looking for the energy. That makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
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 Yeah, your body's going, please go to bed, and you're like, I'll just eat so I can stay awake.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. Which, yeah. Yeah. That's something I try to remember especially if I have a good book and I'm, the joy of Kindle is it's like you're at 80%. I'm like, oh, it's 9 o'clock. I can finish this tonight, at 2 a.m. You're like, oh,
Oh
maybe I
yeah,
should have
yeah.
put that off.
It's true. And then I think, look at your last week. Look at what you did and be
Mhm.
proud of the things that you
Mhm.
accomplished.
Yeah.
Before you start taking on new things, look at where you've been
Mhm.
and be happy and proud of the things that you've accomplished.
Yeah. That's something we
And
do in
then
the
if
membership. That's something we do in the
Yeah, yeah,
membership,
yeah.
which is nice. On Mondays, we're like, what's your intention for this week? And then Fridays, the question is, what did you get done? But it's very much it doesn't have to be what you said on Monday because you never know where the week went. The point is to celebrate what you got done. So it sounds like that fits your premise.
Yeah. Oh, for
Nice.
sure. And then Sunday, you're going to just sit and think. Personally, if you work for yourself, then you can do this. If you work for someone else, it's a little more difficult.
Hmm.
But I like to start Monday off a little bit slower
Hmm.
to ease myself into it. So I have normal daily rituals, but Monday I try to go just a wee bit slower so
Interesting.
that I can catch up with something maybe that I had to leave off on Friday or Thursday.
Interesting. So leaning into the fact that people should pick and choose amongst these tips, I
Yes.
I like to kick Monday off with a big hit. So my most productive days of the week traditionally are Monday and Tuesday. So Monday and Tuesday, I'm just like, I sit down on Monday an hour or two earlier than, either 7 or 8 a.m. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And in fact, today was more like a Cheryl style because I was like, ooh, headache. Okay, we're easing into this day. But I love kicking off a Monday hard, especially if I come off a rested week, because I can get a lot done and feel good about what I accomplished. And I know I'm going to lose it at the back end of the week.
Right. And that was a perfect example, though, of honoring however you feel.
Hmm.
Like, oh, okay, well, now I need to adjust it because I'm not feeling my
Yeah.
190%. And I think
Yeah.
that's it is that it's not, you're going to get more done. I just start off earlier and do other things
Hmm.
so that I can keep that energy flowing.
Hmm.
And then it's that midweek. What are you doing in that midweek
Yeah.
to go, okay, now let's keep going?
Nice. Nice. Yeah. And it is. I tend to, and again, I think this depends on each person. And we need to know when our strength is, when our strong parts are. I'm really alert in the morning and I lose it around 2 in the afternoon. Today, talking with you just before 4 is definitely unusual. Um, but it's the same with the week. Monday and Tuesday are strong, Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday is another big hit. So I adjust that. I will take
Yeah.
Wednesdays off, Wednesday afternoons off a lot. So I need new
See, and
glasses. That's where I'm going to go Wednesday.
yeah, and that's it. It's like these are the things, and then if you're working for someone, knowing what's your best,
Yeah.
and giving them that, if you want me to do these things, I'm really my best on these days,
Yeah.
and so I can really, get that done.
Nice. Nice. I love that. I love that a lot. For anybody who's watching, whether it's live or the recording, what is your tip that you liked that we shared, or what is a tip that you'd like to add, Marcus?
Yeah, I was going to say, what are the things that you find that work for you? And I will say that Sunday, hydrate, hydrate,
Yeah.
hydrate for your Monday. And what are you feeding yourself? If you wake up on Monday and you're dragging, it might have been your activities or
Yeah.
your, things that you're doing. So I'm really affected by late nights.
Mm-hmm.
So if I
Mm-hmm.
do too many late nights on the weekend,
Yeah.
come Monday, I'm like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
dragging.
Yeah. I had somebody invite me to something, and I was like, okay, what time is that? And they're like, we start at 9 p.m. And I'm like, oh, I'm so not going to be there. 9 o'clock, I am already in the bed. I may not be sleeping, but I am in the bed.
Yeah. And,
It's
and
like,
that's it. It's like, some people are night owls, some people are
yeah.
morning. I'm not,
Yeah.
I used to be a night owl. Now I'm a morning person.
Yeah, there are exceptions, and I was a night owl. It was when I was a personal trainer. I had to be on the floor at 5 a.m. That on the gym floor at 5 a.m. that I became a morning person because I couldn't stay awake past 8 p.m. to save my life. And so it switched. So I think we can be one or the other. It's just about training, and maybe there's a sense of identity in there. But I love being a morning person because you wake up in the morning and the world's just it's quiet. It's such a nice with the whole day ahead of you. It's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, I'm more of a fair weathered person. So
Hmm.
this time of the year is great because you can
Yeah.
get up really early, get out on the green belt, get out in the nature, and everybody's asleep. And it's
Yes.
such a peaceful, wonderful time.
Yes. Yeah. To your point, though, it depends on the weather because in the wintertime, I can't get my butt out of bed to save my life in the morning. But at this time of year, I think I get up with the sun I think that's, I've heard that people say that before, and I've been like, what are you even talking about? And now the sun's up and I'm up with it, including in the winter when it's like, 10 a.m.
Yeah,
like,
it's hard.
Oh. It's hard. It's hard because it's cold out and I'm like warm in the bed. Marcus says, keep the big picture in mind. That's what he says.
Oh, yes.
I think so. Do you want to lean into that a little bit and tell us a little more, Cheryl, about keeping the big picture in mind?
I do, because I like to get into the weeds, and those weeds take me away from the big picture.
Yeah.
I don't need to know all the steps, but remembering where you're going, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's a reminder that we all need.
Yeah, I agree with that. I use that in marketing, myself, my clients, my members, when it comes to, what do I need to do? Well, what's the big picture? That's a great one, Marcus. What's the big picture? What's your goal? And all the things on your table right now that you could do, what's the number one thing that's going to get you to your goal? And all the others are just not as important, even if they matter to you. And even if they kind of help too, great. What's the one that's going to get you there? That's what matters, right? I'm building, I've got a program. I've got 2 programs coming up, right? I've got an email marketing program, dropping this hint for anybody who wants to know, it's coming up. And we've got another run of Get It Done that I'm super, super excited about, because we're going to do it a little differently. And I'm always changing things a little bit differently. But the point is that's in my front view window. So what do I need to do now to make those happen? And everything else just kind of goes to the side a little bit. So awesome.
Yeah, I think, and I think that's, how did you find that? How did you find those things for you, keeping that big picture? Or have you always been a big picture person and not so stuck in the details?
Me?
Yes.
So this is something I've kind of come to. Both the small picture and the big picture are important. The strength is being able to move between the two as you need to. And I think I've always been a big picture person anyway, and I've learned to move to the weeds, to the little picture, and then back again. So there's that. But for decision making, I've just learned, I think through trial and error, that the big picture is where you make big decisions from, and the little picture is dependent upon the big picture.
Yeah. So you don't get stuck in the weeds when you're like, oh, here's this project.
Yeah, I do actually. I do. I'm just like, okay, backpedal. What's the big picture? Right. So, but do you get stuck in the weeds, Cheryl? Do you feel, you asked me this question, which was awesome. Where are you, small picture, big picture?
I like the big picture, but I also have a tendency to see all the angles of how it can and cannot. Yeah. And so sometimes I can talk myself out of it because I'm in the details. Yeah. I love the research. I love looking at details. And so I will get sometimes stuck in the details and have to remind myself, wait a minute, that's not important.
Yeah. So both can be helpful and both can be dangerous, because from the big picture, I'm like, I could go that way and do that, and I could do that way and do that. I have a lot of trouble making decisions if I'm only in the big picture. And I know a lot of people that struggle with making decisions, whether you're a small picture, and that includes all these tips we're talking about, which one to use, whether you're a small picture person or a big picture person, and everybody has a tendency towards one, even if they're capable of both. The point sometimes is you're not going to know the answers until you take an action. And then everything kind of falls into place. So I think that applies to what you're talking about today.
That's everything. Action is everything. I mean, fear, move anyway. Yes, action is the ticket.
Yeah, I agree. When it comes to, this is the last question that I need to let you go. When it comes to what we're just talking about, an action you need to take and all of your tips and stuff, what's the one thing that everyone could do to help them have a better week, in your opinion?
Plan it. Say it. Say, hey, I am not like saying that when we speak things, we kind of bring them into life. And I'll just say this have you ever thought about a friend and you're like, oh, I wish I would have heard from Sally. And then Sally calls you. Yeah. That's because you put it out there. So put out to the universe, to the world, whatever. I'm going to have a good week. This is going to be a great week, and I'm going to make that happen.
Mhm.
So how can you make that happen?
Yeah. One of the things I've heard, when we say something and we're hearing it, we're speaking to our own brain, right? And so looking in the mirror and saying you are rather than I am, saying you will,
Exactly.
can be more powerful for, I'm going to use a woo word, for manifesting that in our own week.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And there's nothing really woohoo about it. I mean, really, woohoo and science go together really well.
Okay.
But it is that, yeah, we're putting it out, we're speaking it out. If you've ever said negative things,
Mhm.
which we all have,
Mhm.
and then that comes true, you're like, oh, I proved
Yeah.
it. Well, that's because you put it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's like a whole other conversation we could absolutely have. I definitely, if we focus negative, then we're making that happen because we're giving it, not just giving it energy, but kind of when we're braced for it, we need to prepare for a certain number of negative things. Okay, what if it goes wrong? Well, here's my plan. But then we got to focus on the positive and the hope, because where we spend our time and our energy is what we're making happen.
Yeah. And
So,
you deserve to have a good week. You deserve. And I think that's one of the things that, we can say is we deserve these things
Mhm.
as well.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Cheryl, thank you so much for joining me today, especially kind of a last minute, let's check the tech, and oh, that was worth it. Um, can you tell us where we can find you, Cheryl?
Sure, you can find me at CherylWolfWellness.com, and
Nice.
I always have something going on.
Awesome. Awesome. And you're on YouTube as well, right?
I am on YouTube. I got to get some videos up, but
Oh,
yes.
well, okay, there's that. There's that. So
There are a few up there, but I need to get
nice.
some updated stuff.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see you again here. And Marcus, thank you so much for being here as well. We're gonna have you back
Thank you,
up here.
Marcus.
Absolutely. Thank you. Marcus totally saved the day. He is the save the day guy today, by 100%. All right, my friends, thank you so much for being here. Cheryl, thank you again. And Marcus, thank you
Thank
again. I
you.
will see you again on Thursday in the middle of the day. I'll be live here chatting with you. So until then, take care. Have a great week. Take care.